for the record, would like to say right now, Melanie speaking here, that I have brought a special visitor for us today, a special guest on the Mama's Den today. Ashley is very excited. She text messaged me with excitement this morning because her spirit parent animal is in the building. My mom is here. And for the record, it's funny because everybody that I told is my mom is coming on the Mama's Den, they were like, oh my gosh, we know all the stories. We know about your mom because I talk about her a lot. I talk about all the beautiful things, all the rough things that we went through. And the other day, a friend of ours was at the house and she was just like, oh, you're coming on to defend yourself to my mom. And my mom was like, I don't need to defend myself. I stand 10 toes down on what I've done. I have no regrets. And I was like, well, damn. I was like, all right, y'all, she's here live in living color for y'all to come up with your own conclusions. Make some noise for my mom, Mama Donna.
Yay. Hi,
Mama Donna. Hello, everybody.
Yay. So wait, I would love if you would share one of those stories. I know we've heard quite a few, but like, let's go back to, is there anything that we, Ashley and I, like don't know, right? The one that comes to mind for me is the Halloween story.
Oh man.
But which we shared. But what we got? Do we have any more?
If you don't recall, Mom, the Halloween story was the year that Johan and I were supposed to watch television in your bedroom. He told on me and you made me stay home and give out Halloween candy and you took my friends out trick-or-treating instead. Because I share the savage moments of you. And it's funny because Ashley's always here like, woo, 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 like loves the savage stories. Yesterday, my mom and I were talking. I was telling her about something. I can't remember how she was saying how she has to do all these things before her flight. Mm-hmm. She's like, oh, I got to make the lemonade. I got to plant the plants outside. This is all at our house, by the way. And I'm like, yeah, well, I was like, don't you even think about getting on that plane until you finish all your chores. And I brought up the story on New Year's Eve. Shout out to my lovely, wonderful of a person, ex-boyfriend, Ronnie. We were supposed to go out on New Year's Eve and my mom was like, you're not leaving the house until all of my Venetian blinds are clean. And she made him help me clean them. And her defense, her stance yesterday was still 10 toes down. She's like, well, if he wanted to take you out, he should help you so he could take you out.
How old were you?
A grown up. 19.
Wow.
Okay.
20.
Mid-grown.
20.
Semi.
20 years old, about. Yes.
Which I should say I was married at that age.
You got to be responsible, Melanie.
My mom was a mom and a wife at 20 years old. Yeah.
Yep.
That's high level parenting for your kids to still be listening to you at 19 and 20.
Wait, what was the story where your brother wasn't supposed to watch TV? Oh no, you watched TV.
This was the Halloween.
Then there was the laundry story.
Oh, I shared about the Wonderland.
Right? The laundry story.
Yeah.
Where he had to do his he had started putting the dirty clothes on top of the clean clothes, and y'all were supposed to have like a whole family trip to amusement park or something. Mm-hmm. And Mama Donna was like, "You're not going."
Well, my mom lived with us for 11 years. And I didn't want her to do anything in our home, but she said, what am I going to be here all day doing? So I said, okay, if you want to cook and you want to do the kids' laundry, that's fine. So she did. And we lived in a 2-story house with a basement. Mm-hmm. The laundry facility was in the basement. So she had to take everything down, fold it, bring it back up, and gave it to Johan to put away. Well, he did put it away in his closet. At the bottom of his closet, but as he used his clothes, he piled the dirty stuff on top of it. So the kids, my sister and everybody else were taking the kids and the family to an amusement park close to our home. And my son says, I don't have anything to wear. And I said, well, what do you mean you don't have anything to wear? Your grandmother just did your laundry.
Hold on. I'm going to need you to say it like you said it in 1992. All Guyanese accents in full-fledged, please.
I said, what the hell do you mean you don't have anything to wear? Your grandmother just did your laundry and it's in your room. What do you mean? Let me come and see what you're doing. He said,
that's accurate.
No. I'm like, red flags. Why doesn't he want me to check? So I went in and sure enough, big pile of, it was halfway up the closet. And I said, what is this? He said, oh, my clothes are under there. And I said, oh.
Under there?
I said, your grandmother did your laundry and this is what you did? You have no regard for her labor? This is not happening. I said, you're not going a damn place today. I said, you're going to stay home and you're going to wash all these clothes. You have no respect for my mother's labor. This is not going to work.
Still mad about it.
I'm still mad about it.
But you know what? Hearing it from her though, like I get it.
You
That's
get
why
it.
I be having her back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
And everybody's begging me. My sister, Donna, you can't do this. Because, of course, he was her favorite.
Yeah.
Donna, you can't do this. He was the eldest of the cousins. You can't do this. I said, watch me.
Mhm.
I said, he's going to stay home and he's going to do his laundry from this day forward. My
That's
mother
so
is not
sure.
his slave. No,
Mm.
it's not happening.
And
And beg. Everybody begged. Even my mother said to me, oh, Donna, let the child go now. I'm like, no, Mom, he ain't going nowhere. Oh, that's a little harsh. I don't care. Nope, he's not going.
And she said the other day, she was like, the more people asked me, the more I was like,
I dug my
absolutely not.
heels in.
Oh.
The more everybody said to me, oh, let him go. You can't do this. That's too. Nope. I said, no, he's going to learn a
Mhm.
lesson.
Okay, does he wash his clothes to this day?
Oh,
He
absolutely.
did.
Oh, wow.
But you know what? It was a great experience for us. We bonded. I showed him how to sort clothes. I
Oh,
showed
you
him.
didn't go that day? You stayed home?
No.
Oh, I thought you left him home by
Aw.
himself.
No.
Yeah,
I-
last week it was he was
Yeah.
by himself.
I thought he was by himself.
No, he wasn't by himself.
Oh man.
I took him downstairs and I said, this is what. And he actually enjoyed the experience. And he said,
Not more
oh,
than
I
the
didn't know
amusement
this. I
park.
said, you see how much work it is.
Mhm.
And you called what is it you called it just now? A struggle?
Savage.
Savage.
Yeah.
I call it teaching.
Mm.
So this is the thing about my mom, and I say this too, even when I share like the harshest of stories and I'm like, oh, that was so mean. My mom has always had this perfect balance of love and firm.
Mm-hmm.
And even in like the times when we were growing up and it was like, gosh, this is so harsh. Why are you being so hard on us? We always felt loved.
Mm.
All of the cousins, they used to know that Auntie Donna took no shit, but they also knew that Auntie Donna was going to make you feel better. If you were sick, she would cook for you. She would love on you, care for you, cuddle you, love on you. And it's such an interesting thing because it's not something that I think all parents know how to do.
Yeah.
It's usually you feel bad for being one way or the other. You overcompensate, you
Mhm.
enable, or you're too hard and you feel like if you don't let up, it's a really fine line. And I think now that as we've gotten older, seeing my mom as a grandmother, I'm like, who is this woman? Because this woman's got Melanie, don't be so mean to the child. Oh, Melanie. Oh, he's
Why
a
you
good
so
kid.
tough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be so hard on him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the pot calling the kettle black.
Well, the same as her mom saying, like, let him go.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what
And I saw this saying once that said, if I knew having grandchildren was this much fun, I'd have them first.
That's hilarious. Was your mom strict with you?
Very strict.
Okay.
But we were close.
Yeah.
That's the same thing Melanie's saying.
Mhm.
She was so strict with us and she was swift with that slipper on my behind.
Oh.
Very,
Mhm.
very quick.
Shout out to the Caribbean old school parents. Yeah.
But I loved my mother so much. We were so close. So, I never thought that my mom was being mean or cruel. She just did what she had to do as a mother.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I think that line of like firm and loving is you have to really know your firm side well, right? Because I feel like for me, and maybe Ashley, I don't know about you, Melanie, like the firm side is like, I have to do this. Like I'm convincing myself more than it sounds like your mom is like, this is what you're going to do because that's wrong and we're going to make you better, right? And I love you. And so, afterward we're going to eat and we're going to bond and you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, but for me, I'm forcing myself into the firmness
Mhm.
and then I overcompensate.
Mhm.
But one thing I must say, when you discipline a child or you give a child punishment, like if you say you're not going to have in
Mhm.
today's society, you're not going to have your computer, or you're not going to
Mhm.
have your tablet for 2 weeks. It has to be 2
Yeah.
weeks.
You don't play
Do
that.
not give in after a week because they're behaving well and they're just playing you.
Yeah.
They're
That
just
part is
playing
hard
you.
too.
Yeah.
Our doctor told me that.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it's, in that moment, hey, don't jump off the stairs or we're not going to you're not going to get a cookie or whatever. Like if they then do it, like I have to
You
stick
have
to
to
it.
say, yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
nothing
that-
about
That's
2
hard
weeks.
for me too. Yeah.
That's
for
one
sure.
thing my mom did not play. If it was you were grounded for 2 weeks, don't you dare come to me at 13 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
14 days.
And I wasn't only this way with my children,
Mhm.
with my nieces and nephews. I was the
Don't
same.
choke, Melanie.
I told you she did not play. When we were growing up, I had a friend Lindsay. I had a friend named Lindsay. And I used to go over to the house and she always used to be like, you are just so well behaved and so mannered. She used to threaten her kids. I'm going to send you over to Melanie's mom's house because Melanie's mom is doing something right.
Yeah.
And I just used to be like, if you only knew, save me.
I'll tell you one incident. One incident I remember vividly. My brother and his wife came over with the kids. And like kids, came in, they darted upstairs to my kids' bedrooms to whatever. Never came and said hello to me. So I said to my sister-in-law, I said, where are Lisa and Marcus? Oh, didn't you bring them? Yeah, they're here. I said, well, I didn't see them. And she's going to call them Lisa. And I said, no, let me handle this. So I called Lisa and Marcus. And I held them both by their hands. And I opened the front door. Ooh. And I put them outside. I says, when you find your manners out there, you can come back in. And I closed the door. They rang the doorbell. I let them back in. Hello, Auntie Donna. Yes. They know those children. I mean, I have such a great relationship with them now.
Mm-hmm. She does.
Wow.
Yeah.
She, I'm telling you, my mom was like Felicia Rashad. Like, you know how you knew Felicia Rashad?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Mrs. Huxtable, she was not the one to play with, but she was fly and you loved her. This was exactly how I grew up. You're having big fun. You're having big fun. Remember that episode with Vanessa?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're having big fun. We were off in Baltimore having big fun. It's so funny. But yeah, my mom, but it's literally like, she wears it like a badge of honor. That's why I was like, my mom's like, I don't have to defend myself. But my mom does say this. What is your one regret in parenting, Mom? And she does say
one
this.
regret, and to every parent out there listening, do not yell at your children. That's I yelled a lot. And surprisingly, I yelled. I really, in retrospect, I'm really surprised that I was such a yeller because I did not like to be yelled at. When my parents would yell at me or whatever, I would go into a corner and cry. And they would know that I would cry. But I did the same thing to my kids. And I am just thankful that they are so much more well-adjusted that they don't do this. They've broken that cycle. I'm really thankful for that. That's my biggest regret in my entire life is yelling at my children.
And Melanie, you don't yell at all?
I mean, sometimes she be trying to come out. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I hear myself getting a little, and I'm like, "Ooh, Donna, she's coming," and then I'm like, "Oh, just stop."
Yeah.
But it's in me. But I understand. Like, I think, Mom, what would you say? Like, where did that come from? What was it? Were you tired? Were you frustrated? Were you like, what is that thing? And because you obviously identified that it was something that you didn't like. So where did the frustration for you that took over for you to like not be able to control that side? Like, what was that? Because my mom worked. Yeah. Like my mom was working. She had hobbies. She had a social life. Like my mom was busy all the time.
I was busy. I was really busy and tired and traveling to go to work an hour and a half each way. You know, it's a lot. And you work an 8-hour day and then you travel for an hour and a half to get home. And then you got to cook. And then you got, the children to take care of. And they're not listening and they've got homework and they're just not listening. This one was, oh my God. Melanie was trying. She really was.
Going to the point of like, the yelling and like where she felt like she couldn't control that side of her.
Yeah.
And looking back now as a mother, as a woman, as a wife, like not having the understanding that you were just spent.
Girl.
You were on edge.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you couldn't even recognize it in that moment. So you naturally responded in a way that you didn't even appreciate being treated as a child, but you were just so on edge and exhausted. And I think that that's the thing that we talk about a lot on the podcast is that we are constantly trying to self-regulate while parents and, having the awareness that it's really hard.
It is.
It's really hard.
I think I keep saying I'm glad I don't have children in this society. I'm glad I was born when I was born. I'm glad I had children when I had children because it's tough. It's really tough, the peer pressure children. I grew up without a TV. I did not have a TV until I moved to Canada in 1978. Deal with that.
Yeah.
We had to go outside and play with cousins, entertain yourself, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These kids have so many distractions and so many things that are playing in their minds.
Influences.
It's hard. I think it's really, really hard being a parent these days.
I have
I
a
agree.
question. First, I want to say I give a lot of grace to the screaming because I certainly do it at times and like I'm immediately like, oh God, I wish I hadn't done that way, or said that way. Because I completely relate. And I don't want to do it, but it happens. And then I'm like, so I get that. My question though for you is like, we're not going to change necessarily what we're doing, but I'm just curious from your vantage point. Should today's parents be spanking?
Totally.
I asked because
don't forget what I said earlier when I said there's a difference between a spanking and a beating.
Yes.
I never hit my children in the face. I never hit them.
That's not true.
Oh, well, one day you gave me some rudeness and you got it.
I turned around and told my mom, I did. I turned around and I remember I was
Mama
fresh
Donna.
at the mouth. This is 13 going on 12, 13. And I remember hanging around all these kids at school and my mom was just going off at me. And I just was like, I wish she would just shut up. And by the time I turned to say, I'm sorry, she was right there. Bow, in the mouth. You wish I would what? I was like, ugh. But I knew it.
Yeah.
I fixed my mouth to say something that I would never, ever think to say. And she knew it. She heard me. I was going off and I was like,
She smacked it back into you.
She smacked my mouth right away. Like, boom, quick.
Yeah.
And again, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with it. But this is my mom's. Mom's.
Yeah.
You hit them on their bum. Right? Growing up in my society, in my day, when the kids knew they were in for trouble, the boys used to put books in their bum, in their pants, because they knew they were going to get it on the bum.
Prepped.
Yeah.
I asked because my twins in particular, my oldest is like, he's the one, if I say, we don't have time out, but there's like this one chair, and I'll be like, go sit in the blue chair or go to your room and read a book. And he's going to do it. The little ones, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it, period. They're 4. And I think a lot, I'm not like, I don't ever think that I will spank them, right? But I think a lot that like, what's going to make a difference? Because the sound of my voice, the change, sometimes I'll be like, hey,
like try to put on the dad voice.
None of that works. Taking things, like literally, hey, if you don't put on your pajamas right now, then you're not going to have a waffle in the morning, right? For
but
breakfast,
you see, that's a
right?
sweet tone.
Okay.
That is too sweet a tone.
Yeah.
Listen, if you do not put on your pajamas right now, you're not going to have any more waffles.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Maybe you need to have her come stay with you for a week. I'll be honest.
I'm telling you, grown friends with like 10-year-old children would be like, I'm calling Mama Donna to take care of the plants, the dog, and the kids.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. And it's same thing with Kaya. Like, I've talked about Kaya and how she can just literally be like, oh, I'm going for it. She does not try my mom. I don't know what my mom has within the spirit of ancestry that she just doesn't try it. Kaya does not try it with my mom.
Yeah, I think
I give her a look.
Yeah.
There's always that look.
Girl, these two.
There's always a look.
No, I was going to say, my daughter is the same way with my mom, but I just think that,
which daughter?
Tata. She don't listen to me. I told you she hard-headed. But she listens to my mom. But I think that, so my mom never whooped me. She whooped my brothers, and I'm just like a learner by observer. So I was like,
don't want none of that.
I don't
good
want
on
that.
that.
I know how to act. But she smacked me one time when I was 16, and I'm bringing that up because you're like, even if you thought about it, I feel like you have to, okay. We're not advocating whipping your children. So we start with that.
We're exploring.
We're exploring different options.
We're talking about
We don't
different
know what's
methods
right or
throughout
wrong,
time.
y'all,
Right,
okay?
right.
But I feel like if you don't whoop your children in the beginning and you do when they're older, it's more traumatizing.
I see.
That becomes, it feels violent as,
Correct.
That was the first time
Fair.
my mom ever hit me. I was 16 and it took us like 3 years to get over that.
Yes.
Like I literally was pissed off.
Yeah.
I just felt so violated. Like, you've never hit me. Like, how are you putting your hands on me? You're my mom. That's not the relationship that we had. However, my friend Nala said she used to wait for them whippings. Like, I'm gonna just get this whipping real quick and then go do what I wanted to do. So like, there's different instances where like whipping works, and some kids, with your kids, I don't feel like it will work with them because they have the spirit of they don't listen.
They don't listen.
And so I feel like they would be those kids who would be like, let me get this whipping real quick,
and then I'm gonna get back to do what I do.
Do what I'm gonna do. There's just kids where like you can look at them, they're gonna listen to you, and there's some kids where you can whoop them, punish them, take a finger off, and it's still gonna be like, well, I ain't got more finger, but I'm about to go back doing what I doing. Right. They just got the spirit that they ain't listening to you, honey. I don't know how to help you, but it ain't gonna be whipping. You gonna be in jail trying to whip them kids.
Listen, for real. I really don't. And it's funny because my mom, like, I could never even see her raising a finger to my children, like even in their worst behavior. I think when you have your own kids, it's just different because I've seen it with Kaya. Kaya literally will slap you in the face, and I will grab her hand, and I've tried it. I've told you, like, I've slapped her back on the hand and been like, no, like, do not. And she's laughed.
Yeah, no, my babies do the same thing.
And she's laughed.
We were slapping hands for like a year.
It was like tap on the hand, like, no, like
2 to 3.
Quick. Slap on the hand. No, after twice doing that, it did not work. And I was like, all right, this isn't going to work with her. Right. Now her thing is when she slaps or she gets like, she does something she's not supposed to do, she covers her face. Like, I don't see you. And then, she's like, I don't see you. And then what she says is, then after I'm like, hey, that's not nice. She covers her eyes. And then when she takes her hands away, then she goes, bye. And she turns away. And I'm just like, I don't know what we're going to have to do.
Oh my.
Because she's also so sweet, but she's also very aware of what she's doing.
Okay. I have a question. It might be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So you see her dynamic with Kaya. What would you suggest that Melanie do differently besides spanking?
She's got to give Kaya that look.
I'm firm with her.
And the tone.
I get serious with her.
Listen, she tried to do it to me and I go, hey, not with me. No.
Basically, everyone else, but not me.
Maybe with her. Not with me, sis.
Ain't gonna fly with me. And she just kind of look at me, and like Melanie said, covers her face and then go, bye.
Yeah.
Bye. But she tries it and I see when she's going to do it, and I just give her the look, and she knows.
Yeah.
I told you we were at Christmas in my mom's house, and my mom's got all the fancy things out for Christmas. And I'm like, Mom, you might want to put. She's like, I need to put it away. She's like, you know how many children I have in my house? These children don't touch my things. I said, all right. Kaya went over. She started crawling. She's trying to touch things. My mom was like, and Kaya was like, all right, and walked away. Ever since my mom has been at the house, Kaya doesn't touch my plants anymore.
Wow.
I don't know. Basically, Mom, what we're saying is you can't leave.
Right. We need you to stay.
Meanwhile,
we need
her
you to
suitcases in the car.
You need some rounds anyway.
She went over to Annie.
Did she?
She went over to
Annie's
Annie when
plant.
I was there, and I said, no. That's Mommy's toy, not yours. No. And she walked away.
Wow.
She walked away.
Next time they're here, you've got to invite us all with the children and let Mama Donna observe.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Say, pop that one. Give that one the eye.
No, as we're going back to the spanking situation, when I said totally children need to be spanked, like there's a way, like I say, to spank a child, and you don't spank them till they're teenagers. There's a cutoff point because by then they would have gotten the message.
Yeah.
They would know right from wrong.
True.
Kids need discipline. And if we don't discipline our children, we're failing them.
I agree.
To me, that's our role. Children didn't ask to be born. We wanted these children. So we want to make them good human beings. We have to invest the time and the effort and the energy into raising those children with discipline so that they will grow up to be like my sweet Melanie is now.
Oh my God.
She is pretty sweet.
I will say this. Growing up, I always thought twice about the decisions that I was making because why? I knew there were consequences to my actions, whether that was from my family, whether that was from the law, whether that was from how my decisions affected other people. That was one thing that my mom, and again, in holding true to, if it's 2 weeks, if I said I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. I knew that like, you don't always get the out. You don't get the grace. You're not going to get the freebie this time. So it really did make me accountable for the things that I when I was out in the world on my own.
Mhm.
I knew that there was going to be things that I would have to do and make decisions and be like, all right, this could happen. Are you still going to make the decision? Because if it happens, what you going to do? And also just knowing, like, I just felt like that was a really important thing, even though it seemed so hard growing up. Like, I was like, damn, my mom is so hard. She's tough. She's not going to give in. But it really did teach me quickly that if you get the grace in life, you better receive it and you better be grateful because you're not always going to get it. Like, you're not always going to get the officer that's like, oh, I'll just let you off this time.
Right.
It's like, hey, you broke the law. You sped. You did something you weren't supposed to do. Now you get a ticket or you going to jail. I'm not going to jail. I don't want to go to jail. All right. So I do agree to a sense. And we were talking about this because of the parent test.
Yeah.
And the different, actually, Mom, you would probably love this show. And it just deals about different parenting styles. And I do feel like I do have a lot of what you gave me. And it has evolved, as you said, but I do believe that to a point, you have to stay true to the discipline and the consequences that you give your children so that they have self-accountability.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, there was always this one word I'd say to them when they got to a certain age. You don't want to listen? Suffer the consequences. I just used to say to them, consequences.
Mhm. That's a good word.
Yeah, it is.
Consequences. There are consequences for every action.
For every
And you know
action,
what
there
you
is a
said-
reaction, she used to say. Yeah.
And to the flip side of what you just said, parents have a responsibility to their children too, because children look up to parents for example. And whether I knew it at the time or not, I knew I had to conduct myself in a manner that my children would always be proud of me. I did not want to do anything that would embarrass them. I would embarrass them.
Except,
She's like, I'll do it myself.
I'll embarrass you in front of your friends, though.
You know, and I remember one day Melanie said, when I grow up, I want to be just like my mom. I want to wear her clothes. I want to wear her jewelry. I want to be just like my mom.
This is apparently how I sounded, by the way.
And you know what? That made me realize that this child is watching. And I have to conduct myself in a certain manner. I have to carry myself in a certain manner. I have to be confident so that she could be all those things. And, you know, it worked, you know. And I remember my son wrote me a letter one day, and out of the blue for no reason. And I still have it. And he said, you know, Mom, I thank you for everything. You taught me how to be a man, how to treat a woman. Oh, and I love you for it. And it was very, very touching. It was very, very touching.
What makes you as a parent now, through everything that you went through, what makes you feel like I did something right?
You and your brother. You and your brother.
And what about us?
You
Lay it out. Lay it out. No, like, what is it? Like,
Let
it's one
me
thing to
count
be like,
the
oh, you
ways.
guys are good. But like, what is the thing? Like,
When you see them, what
is
do
it
you
us as
see?
parents? Is it
Yeah.
us as people? Like,
The people you've become. When you see your children are kind and caring and compassionate, and they're loving, and they care about myself and my husband,
Mhm.
their parents, you know, there's no greater accomplishment for a parent than to see their children be responsible human beings, adults,
Mhm.
you know, and that's the greatest accomplishment. And my job is done.
now she could spoil the grandchildren.
Yes.
Well, that brings me to my question, right? And maybe the answer is there's just nothing, but what does parenting look like? Or does parenting exist once they're 40 plus and they're living their lives and they're thriving?
Yeah.
How do you parent?
You'll never stop being a parent.
Mhm.
When she comes home
Mm-hmm.
and she's out late, I'm like, oh God, I can't sleep. And she's a grown adult with a husband. And she's out with her
And kids.
husband. And I'm like, are they okay? You know,
Yeah.
it just never ends.
Yeah.
It never ends. And it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be like that. It's okay to be like. As soon as they went out the other day and my husband and I were in charge of the kids. And I heard that garage door open and I knocked out.
As soon as we came in,
I was like, okay, my job's done.
they're
You
back.
know, they're back. Now it's their turn.
Mm.
You know, it's just, and then they'll take over. Parenting never ends. And when you have grandchildren, it just extends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, we've talked about this. Even though we are grown, and so, like, I still love the fact that I have my parents in my life, that they still care, that they still show up for me in the way that parents do or should or can. And, you know, I think there was a time at a certain age when I was more, I think, like resistant, like, will you stop? And now I'm like, what'd you cook, Mom? Mom, can you rub my head? Like, oh, you know, like, it's like, there's just certain things that now I'm just like the other morning I woke up after traveling for 3 days. I went on the couch, laid on my mom's lap, and she started rubbing my head like she used to when I was like a kid. And it is one of the things that I just cherish, just the fact that I still have that. And it is just certain things like that. So even though when she's like, Melanie, what did you eat? And I'd be like, Mom, I'm busy or whatever. But she doesn't know how to not be my mom.
Yeah.
Did my child eat? Are you hungry? Are you taking care of yourself? I think those things, especially as moms, like they just don't stop. You don't stop. You don't know how. I don't know how. I mean, my son already tells me, Mom, I'm fine. And I'm like, I'm going to ask you this till you're 50 years old if I have to, you know?
Yeah.
So you just don't, it just doesn't end. So I'm very grateful for it all. I'm very grateful for it all. My mom and dad have been here with us for the last couple of weeks. So grateful for that. My dad's in the other room doing his thing, and it's just wonderful. But we talked about this too, my mom and I recently, is that women in general, I think moms, the role of moms, like we never stop. We take care of our partners.
Yeah.
We take care of everyone. And I said, I had both of my moms there. I had Jared's mom and my mom, and we were sitting down at the table, and I was like, Jared took the dads and Cam to a basketball game. And I was sitting with my moms, my two moms, and I was like, you're taking care of dad, and you're taking care of dad, and you're taking care of everyone, and I'm taking care of, and who's taking care of us? And my mom and my mother-in-law looked at each other and like, we take care of us.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's what this is. Like, this is why this podcast, this is why this community is so important of moms, because we are the ones who take care of each other. We are the keepers of each other.
Yeah.
That's why we have to talk and share all these things, because we are the ones caring for the world, truly.
Yeah.
Truly.
You know, we have a responsibility to take care of each other and to create spaces to talk about this kind of stuff, because we need it. We have to take care of each other.
I have nothing else to say. I'm just going to cry. So you guys should carry on.
Well, I actually have a question. Speaking of that, because you were a younger mother, like how did you find community, or how did you feel supported as a mother when you were like, you know, a new mom?
Young.
Yeah, young.
Fortunately for me, I had my first child back home in Guyana.
Okay.
And I was so young. When I came out of the hospital, my mom said to me, "You're not taking my first grandchild home. You're going to bring him here." So I went straight to my mom's house.
Wow.
And basically, you know, went back to work after a month because I had such good support.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when we moved to Canada, we didn't bring him with us because I wanted us to come because I heard Canada was so top. Everybody back home thinks the roads are paved with gold in North America and
They're paved with
everything
snow.
life's easy. You know, I was making $700 a month and that was like top dollar. So, you know, I wanted to come up and get settled first, get our own place before I sent him. It was heartbreaking. It was really tough to leave my child behind. But I had to make that sacrifice for him. And so he came up much later and my mom came as well. So we got him entrenched and got him settled and so forth. And then we just moved on from there.
My grandmother lived with us our whole life. Like, it's my whole life, she
Yeah.
lived with us.
That's beautiful.
But, you know, again, the village of like who's around, and, you know, all of our moms, I think with the exception of Felicia, moms are not local. And so doing this without the support of the grandmothers on a full-time basis, or, you know, the grands or the nans or whatever, just not having your mom around all the time, like what a blessing that was.
It
you
really
know?
was. And I feel badly that we're so far apart that I can't be more of a support.
No, Mom,
to
you're a
you.
huge support. Listen, if I pick up the phone and I'm like, Mom, I need you to come out here, she's like, look, I'm retired. This is why I'm retired.
Yeah.
This is
And
why
she
I
comes.
retired.
And so that, you know, again, it's different than having your mom live with you, right? But you're still there. Like, your support and your presence is still there. But, you know, from the tribe of people, and then you had like your sister and your friends and aunts, we had cousins. Like, we grew up as a very tight-knit fam. Like, I had lots of aunts and uncles around all the time. And so I think even that too, you know, when my mom immigrated to Canada, she was there with her brother. And so we grew up very close with my cousins. And so there was a support. I think our lives, for how we've structured our lives, is just so different. From being creative entrepreneurs, we didn't have the set schedule of the 9 to 5. So we rely heavily on flights,
Yeah.
and then finding people locally that may not be family, but become like family to help you out, just to be able to understand what you're going through.
But in today's society, it's very, very, I can't stress how important it is for mothers to take time off for themselves.
Word.
And don't feel you're being selfish.
Mhm.
You got a partner, you got a husband, whomever, they can handle it.
Did you
And-
take time off for yourself?
No, this is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
You feel you have to be the be all and end all of everything. And that's not right, because then you're burnt out. And then you yell
And
at
then
your
you yell.
children,
Mhm.
right? So take the time out. Say, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm going for a coffee somewhere. I'm going to sit and have a coffee and a muffin or whatever, some guilty pleasure. Do it. You have to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, I have another question. As a mom of a boy, and your oldest, right, is a boy, how do you cultivate a relationship with his wife? Like when they're dating, when they're engaged, because it can feel, I have 3 boys. So it can feel like, I have to be close to her so that I can be close to the kids, and I think about that, even though they're 6 and 4. So how do you start that?
You just embrace the person your kid loves.
Mhm.
You have to embrace the person your kids love, because I always used to say, they say the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Not true. The way to a man's heart is through his parents, through his family. You look at how a guy treats his family, you know if that's somebody good for you. But when your son takes on somebody, you have to embrace them, because you can't fight it.
Mhm.
The more you fight it, the more that you drive them away. I love my daughter-in-law.
She really does.
She is wonderful. She's so loving. She gives me the tightest hugs, and she's so sweet,
Yeah.
very thoughtful. Mom, can I get you something? Mom, can I do this for you? Mom, anything, So she is good. He loves her. I have to love her. She is the mother of my grandchildren,
Mhm.
and I have to embrace that.
Wait, I have a question. Hold on.
Mhm.
What if you didn't like her? Would you still have embraced her the same way?
I would have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you should, because like I say, there's nothing that's more taxing on a marriage than if you fight with your in-laws.
Mm.
And you don't want to fight with your in-laws. You know what? I see some people fight with their in-laws, and my mother-in-law doesn't like the best bone in my body. But you still have to respect her.
Mhm.
Your daughter-in-law may not be who you want her to be. Mothers never think a girl is good enough for their son.
Yeah.
I guess I lucked out. But you still have to embrace that.
I love that.
People change. People change. And if you treat a young person, a young girl, with respect, they'll in turn respect you. You may not be buddy, but you must have mutual respect for each other.
That's a word, child.
Or respect not to turn up every time you see each other, at least.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I can't necessarily say that, like, if somebody was disrespectful to me, then that doesn't mean that I have to be respectful to them, but I can be respectful enough to not engage with that person to cause more conflict.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you said, may not be buddy,
Right.
but also at the same time.
Or just move 3,000 miles away. Problem solved.
Oop. Okay. And that's the mama's. No, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
again, there's so many nuances, I think, to each one of our parenting styles and how we were brought up and our moms and everything. And at the end of the day, I think whatever journey we all took, we all turned out all right.
Yeah,
I'm
for
very
sure.
like I said, I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful, and I still learn it. My mom, she is sitting here, and I'm going to talk like she's not sitting here, but she's really a wonderfully well-rounded person, and she has the best heart, and she cares. When she cares so much. And so, everyone who knows her gets to benefit that, and it's a blessing, and it really is. And
Thanks, Mel.
and
Thanks
wait
for
till you
saying
taste
that.
her cooking.
I mean, I've been
Because
waiting.
now that's a whole other
I
thing.
don't want to wait.
We
Right.
don't talk about the fact that mom cooks. She takes gardens. She can grow a harvest. Like, oh my gosh, my mom is a nurturer. that is who she is. From everything she creates, whether it's artistic, whether it's food, whatever it is, she is a nurturer,
Mhm.
and that is the that is the blessing that she is to everybody in
Thank
her
you.
life.
Thank you.
Hmm.
I never thought of myself as a nurturer, but
Really?
Really?
no,
What would you take? What would you?
I don't know. I just do what I like, and yeah, I like to see. Maybe Melanie pointed this out to me one day, that I'm a nurturer, and I thought, when you really think of it, I like to see things grow. I plant everything from seed,
Mhm.
and when I transplant them into the ground, I have conversations with them, and then when I have to pull them out at the end of the season, it really breaks my heart.
That
Be-
sounds like a nurturer to me.
Right.
Because it's like, no, I'm killing them, right? But I apologize to them, and I thank them for the harvest, and and it's like a child,
Mhm.
and dogs, and
Oh yeah, my mom.
animals.
Also, that's the other thing. My mama she'll get your dog together. My mom can get the dogs together.
Wow.
Yes, but it is you're a nurturer.
You
And
are your mother. It's just so funny when you're over there describing your mom. I'm like, you are literally describing yourself. You are your mother's child.
Well.
And it's very beautiful to see. And it makes me excited about Amira, but also like I'm taking notes from your mom, because I'm like, there's things where I know I could be like a better mom, the discipline thing. It's so
Mhm.
true. Because I obviously have a teenager, and I've told y'all, remember what I said last episode, whoever is the one that disciplines, let them do it and be quiet, because case in point,
yeah.
But it's just beautiful to see your daughter is just like you. She's the most loving, nurturing, kind, thoughtful, considerate person. You are just like your mom, though. So your parenting style does work. And when you write that book, Donna's Way, I'm reading it.
We'll take like the short version. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to write
Cliff
for a
Notes.
year.
I
Like
need a book.
just like a chapter on each.
Donna's way.
Yep.
Let me not exclude my husband from this whole thing.
Aw.
I could not have done this without him, because trust me, Melanie and I fought like, she challenged me.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank
She
you.
challenged me with every decision.
Hmm.
When she wanted to go out, and I wouldn't say no, and she would fight me on everything. And my husband had to intervene many, many times. Many times. And he goes, I don't understand why you guys fight. And now I know it's because we're so similar in
Mhm.
personality.
Mhm.
You were a fierce, confident,
I remember-
strong-minded woman, and you made one.
The
And Kaya is too.
And Kaya is too.
And it
remember
continues.
the time you had your first award in Toronto?
Oh, this was mean. This was just mean. You don't want to share this story.
I do want to share
Okay,
it.
go ahead.
I do want
10
to share
toes
it.
down.
10 toes down. She said, I'm not here to defend myself.
No, she was in this group in Toronto, and they had won an award. And she was coming home one day, and I called her on the phone, and she gave me some attitude. And I was like, how dare you speak to me like that? You know what? I'm not going to your award ceremony. Her very first award. My mother-in-law was there. My sister-in-law was
Yep.
there. My sister was there. Everybody was there, and they were all going. And I said, no, I am not going to her award. She owes me an apology. She has to learn that she cannot speak to me. There are consequences for your actions. And I'm not going. And my mother-in-law, oh, Donna, you got to go. Why? Why should I go when she does not respect me? No, she does not deserve my presence.
Mm.
And I did not go. I
Did you
didn't
ever
go.
apologize?
Did I don't even remember.
I don't remember.
She's
either.
I don't even know
No,
what I
no,
said.
no. Here's the thing. To be honest, I'm literally taking her word at face value, because I don't know why she did. At this
like-
point, I don't remember why she
You were
didn't come.
coming home, and I
just
called you.
don't. I just remember that she wasn't there.
Wow.
Okay, not to question the decisions of 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But my question is like, isn't there a difference between she doesn't respect me and she was disrespectful?
Oh, come on, Cody.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Come on, Cody Lynn.
Listen, I'm nervous.
It's
Not trying to challenge
you're
her
right.
on it.
You got me
all.
calling her Cody Lynn.
You're absolutely right. It's not that she didn't respect me. She was being disrespectful at that time.
Mm.
And I wanted her to continue to respect me.
Mm.
So I had to nip that in the bud. You have to nip it in the bud.
But was I disrespectful after that? Absolutely. I was definitely rude. That's what I'm saying. Like, we definitely fought after that. So it
but-
didn't work.
One day we had a fight and she stormed out of the house at about 10 o'clock at night.
No, it was later than that.
Oh, maybe
It was
later.
the middle of the night.
My husband was at band practice.
Oh, wait.
She walked out the door. And I think she thought I was going to go after her.
No, I didn't.
I just locked the door.
Okay.
He came home.
Kaya.
I didn't think she was going to come after
No,
me.
but
I
you-
wanted to get out of the house.
You are Kaya too.
Yes.
It's like a trifecta.
I knew that I just wanted to get out of the house. I just knew I needed to get out of the house. I just couldn't be there anymore. So I left and I went to walk. And I remember I went to the park right down the street from the house, and I sat.
were you?
Yeah, I was a teenager. I was like 17.
17.
maybe. And I remember I went to the park, and I was like right in the little swing, like slide, like, you know, little houses that they make there. And I remember I saw the car come around. My dad came home, and then I saw the lights shine at the park, and he didn't see me. And then I knew it was my dad looking for me. And then I just walked home, and I went home, and my dad took me aside and he says, "You know why you and your mother fight so much?" And I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because you guys are exactly the same. You guys are so emotional. You guys are so sensitive for each other. You love each other so much that you would do anything to like love and hurt each other just to like get the response that you're looking for." And I was like, I am not like her. Yup. Yeah, we just did. And you know, when you're that young, when you're a teenager, and I know we're just talking, so this probably won't even make the podcast. But like, you know, when you're that young, you just like, why are you being like, I'm not like you. I'm just trying to like be peaceful, and you just want to fight. And it's
You
like,
don't get it.
don't get it.
No.
You know, it's just different. Like, and I didn't understand. I didn't have empathy for what she was requesting of
Right.
me, and she didn't care about having empathy for what I was requesting from her, because she's like, "You're the child. I don't care."
Yeah.
You know, so it was that. And I think that was our biggest rub. For me, I think with my mom, I definitely wanted someone who would honor the fact that I had thoughts, feelings, opinions, and was willing to have a conversation with me. And my mom was like, "Nah, it's my way, or there's no way."
Yeah.
And so I think as
To
time,
a certain point. To a certain age.
to a certain age. Yeah, as a teenager, that was not the age. She was like, "Nah, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm not giving in. I don't want to hear what you have to say."
When kids get into their teens, it's the most challenging.
Girl, don't I know it?
She
Most
was a
challenging.
teenager.
Don't
She
I
has
know
most
it,
challenging.
honey. I'd be like, I remember my mom, I wasn't allowed to like roll my eyes or anything. Like, I couldn't have no feelings. You just had to, it's like you had to be robotic. Like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Everything's disrespectful if you breathe, you know?
Oh, you breathe loud.
I know.
You close that door disrespectfully.
I'm mad. Damn.
Of course I'm mad. And I do that with Cam too, because Cameron will like huff him. Like the other day, I told him he had to come do homework, and he shoved his papers on the table. And I said, "Oh." And he was like, "I was just moving the papers." I said, "No, you weren't."
Yeah.
I said, "You were frustrated and you were pissed off at these papers."
He's Brooks.
Yeah, and
They're
he was
so alike.
yeah, and I was like, "Hey." I was like, "I understand that you don't want to do your homework and you're frustrated, but you're more intelligent than to have to express yourself than that." And I said,
Bingo.
"And pay attention to the fact that you chose not to do your homework. And now because I'm asking you to do it when you have to do it, you're upset.
Okay.
That is not a choice that I made. You made that choice."
Bingo.
So that's how I try to talk to him, because, you know, I don't like, Cameron doesn't really get a lot of attitude. So when he does, I'm always like, "All right, I see you.
right.
You're allowed to be upset. You're frustrated, but let's talk about why you're frustrated. It has
Right.
nothing to do with me. Don't make me the bad guy."
Yeah, that's
So I talk to
probably
him
the
that way.
biggest difference in parenting is our parents were like, "You don't have feelings," and we're like, we acknowledge them, but trying to give them the tools to express them in a healthy way.
Yeah.
I gotta tell my kids to go in the room and be mad. I'd be like, "Oh, you can be mad, just don't roll your eyes at me, but go in there and roll them 50 times. When you come back out here, make sure them eyes is straight."
Good girl. Good girl. Good girl.
That's why when you say you don't discipline, like I'm always like, you
I
sound pretty firm to
I
me.
just feel like what she was saying about being consistent, that's
Yeah.
where I lack.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
she is like, "You're gonna do the whole bid." I'm like, "If you're good for 3 days and I'm letting you off like time
Okay.
served." And I think she's that
Good behavior.
yeah, that good behavior doesn't work. You gotta give them
Yes.
the whole bid.
Yeah.
That's
The whole
where
bid.
I'm gonna learn
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
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 you instill a discipline, you keep it to the limit that you've
Yeah.
set.
I agree.
See, I just won't. I don't think I'll ever set 2 weeks of nothing. It'll be like,
You're
2
can't commit
days.
to that.
I've got to work my way up for me. If I'm
Probably
gonna stick
did
to it,
nothing for it.
if I'm gonna stick to it, it's gonna be 2 hard days. for
Really?
everybody.
Know thyself.
They're 6 and 4.
can do
No,
a
you gotta
3-day.
start now. When are you gonna? You
2 days is
this
starting.
is a
Two
mold.
days is like a
This is-
lifetime to kids, Mom. 2 days is a lifetime to kids.
No,
When you're a teenager,
but
2
if
weeks
you think
is legit.
about it,
Uh-huh.
2 days might be a lifetime to kids. But if you give a kid a week of punishment where they can't do certain. Think
Mhm.
how much easier your life is going to be.
Girl.
I mean, not
She's
necessarily because now they got nothing to do and they're all up under me like, Mom, I'm
No.
bored.
No.
Or they're
let 'em be
complaining
bored
every day.
every
Like, I gotta
day.
hear it.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
ooh, child.
And then you just keep saying to them, hey,
Consequences.
consequences.
One more question.
That's what
'cause-
we're going to call this episode.
Consequences.
by Mama Donna.
By Mama Donna. Mama's way.
Like, here's my question.
Donna way.
What would you do in this scenario? And then we probably should wrap up, I think. Because my kids are actually very sweet to each other most of the time. So I could literally be like, look, for 1 week, Aristotle, like you will not get a waffle at breakfast. Like food really changes their lives. So it's like, you don't get that thing that everybody wants for the whole week. Fine. You know what my babies will do?
They'll share it.
Here, Aristotle, you can have some of mine. So do I stop that?
You say, if you give him yours, you're not going to get
Oh,
any
dang.
either.
Yep.
It's every man for themselves, she said.
Okay, noted. Okay.
No, if you're going to give him,
Note taken.
yeah, you're not going to get either.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good because you're helping discourage the enabling thing because
Yes.
people enable their
Yeah.
siblings.
Yeah.
And then it'll be
Mm.
the responsible siblings. They're
Yeah, they'll take care of them
irresponsible
later.
sibling, yes, for the rest of their
Word.
life, they're going to be trying to clean up their mess
Yeah.
and then feel obligated just from passing that damn waffle across the
Yeah.
table. So
Word.
listen to Miss
Okay.
Mama Donna,
Meanwhile,
honey.
I'm over here being like, this is so sweet that they want to make sure that he gets a waffle.
Girl, they're so
that's why
sweet.
my 32-year-old brother be calling me for money now.
Exactly.
Don't let him pass
It was the waffle of
It
30
was the
years
waffle.
ago.
Note to self, spare the waffle.
Or you say when your son is being disciplined, you tell your daughter.
No, she has
I
three
have
boys.
no daughters.
Or
Yeah.
you tell the other two. He's not getting any
Mhm.
waffles in the morning. And if you share yours with him, you're not going to get any either.
Gang,
Got
gang.
it. I'm on it.
Gang, gang.
I'm on it. All
Well,
right,
anyways, we gotta
This is
go.
a lot for
We
today.
This is like, you know what I love about this episode is that Cody's like, and so tell me more. And so how do we make sure? Like Cody's like, I'm low key here to hear about your stories, but how do I
Yes.
take what you have and
Yeah.
apply to my life, which I love.
I can't go full Mama Donna, at least not yet,
Not
but I
yet.
can take baby steps. Take the principles.
My question to you is why?
Mm.
Why can't I go full?
Yes.
Just my
It's not
own.
her spirit.
It's not in my spirit. It's not in my.
You see her? Look how sweet she is.
I know she's sweet. You can be sweet.
Yes.
You
Yes.
totally can be sweet. But children have to know boundaries.
I agree. I'm going to do some of this. I promise, and I will report back.
She will report back.
I'm going
gonna-
to take
I-
videos.
Can you give her your number?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she said, I'm going to check on you. She said,
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I'm on it. I'm all over it.
You know what? I can say again. You can be sweet. You don't have to spoil a child to love a child. You do not have to spoil a child.
I promise you, if my mom was going to be buried, that would be on the headstone.
Yeah.
You don't have to spoil a
Yes.
child to love us.
Yeah.
That's the name of the book.
That's the
That's
other
the name of the
Yes.
book.
Yes.
Ta-da-da!
This book is happening. Yes.
Yo,
The Donna
mom's
way.
about to be rich.
Yeah.
You don't. You really don't.
Okay.
You love
All right.
that child, embrace that child, love that child. But that child has to know boundaries.
Mhm.
If not, you're failing that child.
Mhm.
Mm.
Okay.
Well, all right. We got a flight to catch.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Mom's got to go back and discipline her plants back home. Her other
I even
grandchildren.
disciplined Florence last night.
Oh, man. Yeah, listen. Okay. We could. I'll wrap this up, then I'll tell the story. Thanks for coming on, Mom.
You're very welcome. It was lovely being here and sharing my own views of parenting, whether you agree or disagree.
She don't care.
I don't care.
10 toes down.
I know what I did worked for me. My children are fantastic children. My grandchildren, I know, will be fantastic children because of who my children are.
Mhm.
And
Do what you got to do for your
Yeah.
own kids.
yeah, just remember, kids did not ask to be born, and they need their parents to guide them, to discipline them.
The Donna way. That's the Mama's Den.
That's the Mama's Den.